This episode is brought to you by the feature film Wall of Flesh, a vintage comedy. A faded musician and lovable curmudgeon must reassemble his motley band of misfits in order to provide for the spermatozoan that got away. Streaming now on Amazon.
Do you remember when the episode of the Brady Bunch, when they were recording that music video and then like the red light came on and who was it, like Peter or somebody
Froze.
just froze?
Oh, I have not thought about that episode since it aired. I mean, since the reruns when I was a kid.
Neither have I, but when I saw the recording, I remembered that immediately. I don't know, it came to mind. I thought it was interesting how he would fare in the modern day.
Yeah, it's funny how things stay in your mind.
Oh, God. Yeah,
20 years later that I would never have thought of that until you brought it up.
Every time I'm locked in a jail cell, I know to like string belts together to get the keys. But I have used belts for other things thanks to the Brady Bunch.
Yeah, they pretty much could solve. They were little criminals, little recidivists.
They were. It was a gang. That's a gang right there. What is it like?
Technically, right? Yeah, there's another
8.5. Alice is like half a person, but
yeah. Well, she launders the money. Hey-o.
Okay, well, she got free room and board. She's right next to the kitchen. Who doesn't want to like have your bedroom right next to the kitchen, right?
Yeah, she can sneak out in her Hanes bras, like those ones from the '60s that were started here and went to the midsection. Yeah.
She was dating the butcher, man. Like he knows all about meat.
Oh, it was all about his meat. Yeah, there it is. Meat joke.
Was it Bob? I mean, come on. I don't remember.
Sam, wasn't it Sam?
Sam, okay.
The butcher.
You win the Brady Bunch trivia.
Yeah, now that's random. I don't know why I know that either. I mean,
it's there. It's
I wish I did this well in my SATs. I would have done something with my life. If they ask questions about general TV trivia for maybe a bar exam, I think I'd make a hell of a lawyer.
Well, I mean, if you were trying to get in college now, they're opening it up without taking the SAT or ACT.
Well, you could just take the bar now that I learned. You could just take it.
Oh, really?
You could just sign up, I guess. And, obviously you have to be.
You just take it just for the hell of it.
I was thinking about, I should just, I don't know what's going to happen with comedy, but I'd like to become a comedy lawyer where I'm like, yeah, he killed her and dismembered her, but, come on, people, or something. I don't know. Something where I could take the skills of improv and get murderers off, but make lots of money. Now, you would say, Brian, why don't you work for the public defender? Because I'm looking to make money. Okay.
Yeah.
All the Los Angeles County is kicking out all the prisoners all over the country now are just saying, yeah, but they're not letting the murderers out. They're letting out tax fraud.
While you pursue that fantasy, I think I will pursue going into the NBA. We'll see.
Okay. I think. Well, you probably have a greater chance of getting into the NBA.
Oh my God, that's good to know. I feel good about that.
Oh, I couldn't be a lawyer. All they would have to do was Google my name, and I'd lose every case. It would just be. It would be over.
Exactly. Yeah.
But so we should officially begin. This is another episode coming at you of Unnecessary Talk. I don't remember what it is, but our guest today is Akello Stone. Is that
Unnecessary?
Oh, this is beyond unnecessary. The numbers below this will show you how unnecessary it is.
This is the time for unnecessariness, right?
Yeah, I'm picking it up. So thank you for your time. I love the Adidas tracksuit.
85.
Wear those glasses. You basically had the same outfit I was wearing last time.
I'll be honest with you. You know how you have like costumey things that like you buy for one thing?
Yeah.
Right. So
I still got the tag on. Yeah.
Well, I can't say the same, but I went to an 80s party and of course I wanted to rock the 80s look. So this is like my rendition.
Yes. It's the same glasses I wore last time.
Well, yeah, I know they're a little differently shaped, but I call these the heavy D glasses because I've been eating a lot. I eat a lot in the winter, it's
wintertime.
Part of my inherited trait, but I actually bought this jacket on eBay.
Do you really?
A brand new, this is real. This is not Urban Outfitter $80 retro reproduction. This is real.
This is legit?
Thing.
Wow.
So I got to find opportunities to wear it like at least twice a year.
I like it. I've become, as I have enjoyed the benefits of a refrigerator next to my desk. As I expand, I find that tracksuits are kind of a natural draping. I feel most comfortable.
Oh God, they feel great, don't they? Like, yeah. I want to be in like velour from head to toe. In my fantasy mind, I was like the fourth Beastie Boy, but I wasn't.
I like it. I know. I wish I had. If I had known, I would have worn the same thing so we could have matched.
I know. I need to come up with something though.
If I get any fatter, I'm going to have my tracksuits made by Omar the tent maker. Hey,
look, I know a place where you can get material in the Santee Alley.
Really? Now, so that thing is, I got to tell you, I'm all about, and I used to rock Adidas quite a bit because I'm an old man. So I remember when Adidas was, was at its apex, and now that it's kind of come back, I've found a love again for the polyester as I drape myself in.
Now, this was like, this was my cheap substitute for, I wanted to be a steampunker for like a week.
I like this.
This was my steampunk.
You kind of look like those Despicable Me people. Like, what are those things called?
Minions.
Minions. Or those are kind of like minion glasses.
Yeah.
I like
it's either a minion or I'm in the community theater production of Pitch Black. And I play Vin
Diesel. We started on that. Now, he also reminds me of a little bit of Christopher Lloyd in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Remember?
Well, you got lots of references today, don't you?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, what about the guy in Hellboy that like floats around in the tank?
Yeah, there you go. I don't remember his name. Isn't that Niles from Cheers? Yeah, that's Niles from Cheers, I think, played him.
You can always tell like what era you've grown up in because sometimes I say, "Oh, I just said shit." Can I say that on air?
Oh yeah, you can. Yeah, I told Jason Bornstein the aristocrat joke. I don't know if do you know that one where it's just a dirty joke. You just make the dirtiest joke up. So no, I said,
I don't know that.
Yeah. So the whole point of the aristocrat joke is to ruin it. Is that you start a joke and you just tell the dirtiest joke you could possibly come up with, and at the end you just say, "We're the aristocrats." There's a setup, but basically we in 5 minutes saying things on film that I'm sure.
So you just have like dirty jokes in your arsenal. Is that what it is?
No, that's just kind of a little famous joke in the comedy community. Gilbert Gottfried does it. It's an old
okay.
It's just being as filthy as possible for no reason. And it's just watching the people react as you just come up with, the mom is blowing the son and the son's blowing the dog. Like it's just stupid. And then
okay. But it could be highly entertaining if it's done well.
Yes, I didn't do it well on the episode because I was like half explaining the joke and telling it, and comedy is not really a skill of mine.
I love the comedy enthusiasts. It's like, don't you know the greats? And I'm just like, I'm not an enthusiast about pretty much anything really.
Well, one might say you're a master of none.
Well, look at that segue. Yeah, I would say that.
You don't need to call out the segue.
Oh my god!
But
Cut that out. I called out the segue.
It was perfectly segued. I
kind of like to point out the segue.
That's fine. There are no rules here.
Let's start over again. Let's just start over again. No, I called it out on purpose because I thought it was entertaining. I'm a master of none, and a lot of times people don't like to hear that when someone admits that because there's a stigma attached to that. I don't think that there is. I think that it's MacGyver-ish, if you will. It's like a mental MacGyver.
Yeah. No, I was about to sing the LA Law theme. Yeah, whatever the theme is, where he's cutting it. It's kind of close, right? Horns. Oh,
typical 80s,
opening montage of explosion.
Yeah, montage. I love a montage.
Especially when, regardless of how many bullets were fired at a person, they'd never get hit. That was the trick. And the
of course not.
On the A team, no one actually ever got
80s TV.
That was I kind of miss it when you could. I miss the days. Now, as you know, I'm a filth comic because it's easy and I'm not smart. But I really miss the the old days where it wasn't so direct, the sexuality, where
I don't miss
a
it
little
at all.
artist
I love it.
And creativity.
Yeah.
You know, when BB King's singing about how he loves how his baby. I have a sweet little angel, and I love the way she spreads her wings. You know, it was at a time, as it now is just like pop that pussy. You know,
just hit it in the message. Yeah,
yeah.
I hear you. It's a little art. It's a little bit more artful that way when you hide the messages.
Well, then you could. You obviously BB King's not going to be talking about ratchet hose, but he has the ability to perform to a larger audience, right?
Yes.
So obviously, the dirtier your comedy, the less people, you know.
Did you happen to catch the Astronomy Club?
No, I don't know what that is.
That is a sketch show. It's an African-American sketch, all African-American improv actors on the sketch show, and you must see it. I think the episodes are only like 20 minutes, but you must see it because it really they did a bit where they recreated these like 80s R&B groups, and then what they had to revise what they said.
Oh, that's funny because they have to update it or change.
So every time someone's putting it out there, someone is forcing them to reel it in. So it's once it's out there, it's like out there forever.
So when I mentioned Master of None and we were doing a segue, and then you called out the segue, but then we didn't segue because you called out the segue. So we're going to segue again on how you were Master of None.
Yeah.
No.
I feel crushed now that I fucked up.
No. Hold on. This is unnecessary talk.
Right? Unnecessary.
Tens of people are listening. It's just
that word is not necessary.
All I do is I open up different browsers. I just click on my own video, so that I at least have 7.
I love it.
But you're I also wanted to start off 10 minutes in or whatever to say happy birthday. I didn't know that. Am I allowed to give out the information?
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, you just turned 50 this week, right?
50.
And that's amazing. So happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
And obviously everything that's going on with the quarantine, I'm sure it's a little, you don't get to go out and party for I don't think your 50th it kind of happened the way you had planned it when you were maybe 40.
Oh my God, it certainly did.
All right, hold on.
I had this whole thing, Brian. I scheduled my first skydive, and I was going to skydive, and I was going to do this IG live thing, not for a party, but and then I was not. I went back and forth of whether I wanted to do anything, and throwing a party is a lot of work. I was like, well, I'm sure somebody's planning a party for me this year. So I'm just like, I'm going to hold off on it.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm sure that's what they were doing. And they were probably so crushed that they couldn't have the party that they didn't tell me about it. So it kind of, pretty much got brushed over. I mean, you get the calls and all that, but I did actually end up going to Bevmo and waiting in my car for 45 minutes to get some breakfast stout, and I ended up drinking 6 breakfast stouts.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It was still a party.
Yeah, it was a party of one, right?
It was a party of one. It was an 8.3 ABV, My roommate was here, and there it was.
There it was. That is great. When things return to normal, if it does, I will buy you the largest breakfast beer you ever saw in your life.
All right, let's put that on the calendar in August.
August of 2022. Right?
I will take you up. There's no expiration. Every birthday that has happened during this time, there's I don't know if you call it a grandfather clause or something, but it's still, it's on hold. So everyone is not, it's on hold.
I agree. So for your 50th birthday, you were releasing your new book, which was our segue.
Oh yeah, the book. Yeah, well, God, I forget. Once you
all these segues are for the book.
Once you do it, you just go back to looking at Craigslists for odd jobs, right? But here's the sad thing too. Well, not the sad thing is I don't even have a copy of the finished book in my hand yet. because of the delay. But, you know, this is where like that little whining child is inside. It's like, I want to feel it. But I actually do have, this is how obsessed I was with getting the right cover. These are my drafts.
Oh, wow. Well,
so
hold up the closest one.
This is the first one, and this is kind of the evolution. It's just slight changes.
Oh, sure.
I did design the cover. I took my own picture as a selfie. It's called Seeking Selfdom in the Age of Selfies, so why not go all the way there? Write it, format it, create the design, do the picture, and then I'm looking into the audiobook. But that is something that most people bucket list items involves travel, and I think that's great, but that was one of my bucket list items, was writing a book. I don't necessarily consider myself an author, having author identity, because if I never write another book again, I'll be completely fine.
Well, you were kind enough to send over a copy, and I opened it up, and I read the intro and chapter 1. And I just opened up this morning, so I wanted to.
Oh yeah, you read the whole thing, huh? The whole.
No. Yeah, I read your intro. So I wrote actually some notes because.
Oh, good.
When I mentioned the Master of None, I might have seen the full quote before, but it didn't register again. And if I may, because originally you were considering having a subtitle of Master of None, and then because of the a sneeze, I'm sorry. That was dumb. Okay, I apologize. You changed it, but I'm used to the quote, right? Jack of all trades, master of none. But the original quote was, a jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one.
Absolutely. There's the real gem, correct?
I thought that was fantastic.
I mean, immediately remove the stigma, because I'm not going to get all academic with it, but there is a division of labor, and people hone in on a career. Most people, not everybody, right? But lots of people hone in on one career, one thing that they do, and they just pay people to do everything else that they need, right?
Sure.
But I'm a DIY guy, like in every aspect of the word. And my idea is there are experts out there, but how do you bridge the gap between the experts? Like, who's doing that? Because there's people that are not talking and collaborating. So I've looked at my whole life and, my whole career trajectory, and I've always been that person who can kind of, mediate between the experts, if you will.
Well, I've enjoyed it very much, and if it makes you feel better, I've read more of your book than Rich Baker's, because I haven't had time. Because if you saw the Rich Baker episode, I haven't. Because everybody, that's the thing. You and Rich and everyone has worked so hard on these projects, and because of what's going on, is you're all affected. And but thank you for sending me. And I would like to purchase a hard copy in which, if you would be kind enough to sign it for me.
Absolutely.
But I'd like to get, and I definitely would like to support you as an artist, and
I appreciate
and I want the paper because it's tangible. I mean, for the same reason I make CDs now, there's no place to play them.
Yeah.
But something about having that,
I still have CDs in my car, but I would say, I think in terms of timing, I think I'll just say the word disappointing. The disappointing thing about the timing is that I intentionally wanted to have hard copies. I wanted people to have hard copies. I wanted to be out and meet with people, really have a book, like the book release on Instagram Live. Although I think it was fun and entertaining, it just didn't have that people interaction. And It didn't have that, physical, like when I went to Rich's book signing, I loved it. Like, there's a book reading, and then there's people there, and then you can ask live questions about it.
Well, you can still do that.
Yeah, it can still be done, but it's just like another delay.
Right. Now, you obviously spent a tremendous amount of time writing it, because, this is a serious book. This isn't some fly by night,
It's not a
short story. Short stories are the lesser form.
No, it's not a let me have 15 books on Amazon and have passive income.
So where can we find it? We can find it on Amazon now.
Amazon, yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
So you have it digitally now, and but the jack of all trades. When I was in high school, I remember talking to my music teacher. He was the jazz teacher. He was super cool, and he used to play trumpet for Tina Turner. Right.
Oh wow.
So I got to play, kind of learn with him, and we were having a conversation and how that. I was playing trombone, but I played bass and a little piano. And I remember him saying to me, it's better to be great at one instrument than, mediocre at a bunch. Right?
Yeah.
And I've that really has stuck with me, obviously, to this day, but I'm not that person, unfortunately.
Yes.
Right.
There
So I think that goes, I just think with it, I want to play more than one thing. I don't see why, maybe I have some sort of ADD when I get bored, but I like being able to play multiple instruments. But obviously, if I did nothing but play trumpet in a room for 8 hours a day, I'm going to be one of the top 25 trumpet players you've never heard of in the world. And the same thing with the movie is I want to know all the different parts, how to make a movie, how to make an album. I want to do as much as possible.
Right.
Which I think seems to be kind of a theme of yours. The master of it, because I feel like a master of none, but I do a lot of things that I think I'm pretty good at. I may not be an expert, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
If I can learn from other people.
And it's funny that you use the term mediocre, because you can be really good at a lot of things. And, and again, mentioning that in this book, the book in a way, I guess, if you think about it, unlike other books, this book is really, I always say first, I wrote the book for me, because that was the self-exploration. That was what I was dealing with, was like, why am I not an expert at something? I'm making money. I had, like my life is not like that. And I had to come to terms with, and again, this is like when you turn 50, right? Highly unlikely. I mean, you probably pretty much have reached a level of self-actualization in some areas, right? And so if that's it, and maybe there's other people who are struggling with that, and I just wanted to let them know that it's okay. You do not have, if that's not what your makeup is, then you don't have to be, singly focused on something. Oh, one more thing too, it always reminds me of the movie Mo Better Blues. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
HBO movie, right?
Spike Lee did it, and Denzel Washington was the trumpet player.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
But what happened is he was the best at it, right? That's his whole life, was playing the trumpet. And here's a spoiler. And then because of a gambling debt of his friend, someone took the trumpet and smashed him in the face. And just his lips were just destroyed. And he was not able to play like he was from that point on. And he went on a downward spiral. And I was like, I don't want to be a person who's doing something so well and then I cannot do it, or it's no longer in demand. And then what?
Yeah, it's similar to the Chet Baker story, right? He got his teeth knocked out when he was playing trumpet.
Right.
And Django only had 7 figures. What do they call them? Fingers. That's what they're called. They're called fingers. I couldn't come up with the word fingers for a moment. Well, I'll have to watch that, because I don't remember that part of the movie, so I'll need to rewatch it.
Huge part of that movie, little things stick with me. Little things stick. I think they stick subconsciously. The ideas that we have. I mean, I always go back to like some of the most widely used metaphors, like don't put all your eggs in one basket, right? But then here you have, a music teacher telling you to put all your eggs in that one basket. It is a risk. It is taking a risk, but also not putting your. So there's risk on on both sides.
Would you repeat that last sentence? There was a little bit of a technical issue. I'm sorry. Sorry to put you on the spot, man.
No, it's all right. No, it's all right. I said I was talking about the metaphor of putting all your eggs in one basket, right?
Yes.
And we're told to do that, and there's great risk with that, but there's great reward. But then on the other side of like this continuum is a person that's put eggs in all these different baskets. And of course, there's risk because people don't necessarily recognize that as valuable. You know,
well, I think so, right? I mean, it goes back to what you're saying. If you can MacGyver, if you're pretty good at a bunch of things, I think in life,
yes,
you know, like what are you going to do with no lips? I'm not going to play trumpet, so you know, what else can you do?
Yeah.
So you have now. The book seems to have kind of an Eastern overtone. Now, this is the intro in the first chapter. I'm not pretending. See, like I said, you're supposed to say that I read the whole thing and how
you read the intro and the first chapter. Like, yes, that's a lot.
That's what I did. I got your email. I sat down to have my coffee while I set up, and I just read it this morning.
Yeah.
And I will continue to read it. I'm not going to be one of these guys. In fact, the next time we talk, you can quiz me. Oh, I lost my thing. Oh, so it had an Eastern thing. So I wore this for you. Now, we don't talk about religion, but there seems to be a kind of a religious tone to the book, and I saw some symbols in there. Is that part of it? Now,
yes, it is.
You can always cut this out, by the way, you know, if it's a thing.
Oh, no, like this is the thing. I believe there's like religion. When we say religion, I don't think we really break it down into its component parts. You know, within every religion, there's a belief system, but there's also like a philosophical way of approaching life.
But that's more Eastern, right? A little bit more style. I'm trying to justify wearing this caftan for the bit. What it is. This whole conversation is just so that because I wore this to be one with the earth. Which is funny.
It's actually really nice to look at, Brian. You know, I'm staring at you, but I'm looking at your caftan.
What's funny is I have about 10 or 15 of these, and this is the one that I just kept for me. And I actually played a bass gig one time wearing it. Yeah. I got to tell you, caftans are surprisingly comfortable.
They are.
I get it. It's just, you know, you got a V-neck, which is good. Give you a little bit of space. And then, you know what? Maybe, you know, all we need a rapper to start wearing these, you know, but like with big diamonds and stuff, and that'll be super.
There are. I'll send you the link. The colors studio, like colors. There's a colors. You ever watch Colors where they do the artist, and the artists usually have like the color of the backdrop, and it's just minimal, and they sing a song.
No, I've never heard of that.
Oh my God, it's really good. But I wanted to add to that, like caftan is comfortable. I actually went to Bali for a 7-day yoga retreat, right?
This is what I'm talking about.
Back like 4 sarongs.
What's a sarong?
And a sarong is just like this wrap. And I think I might have one right here.
I'm going to talk. So the
talk. I'm looking for
the caftan.
All right, so here's one right here. It's a sarong. This is like a piece of material, right?
Oh, okay. Oh, yes.
And then you tie that around from the waist down, and I'm just like, I could just wear this all day, you know. Like I could do
like a hippie kilt.
It's like a hippie kilt, you know. And I commando. I'm talking about like
right. You have the body for less fabric. You are the guy that they design those for, and they put in the advertising, and then people with my body buy them, and then girls take pictures and put me on TikTok and say, "Hey, boomer, nice try."
You're funny. No, yeah, you're funny. But there was but you did pose a really interesting question, and I wanted to write something. I wanted to have total freedom, you know, about the perspective. I mean, you can have total freedom to think that you cannot integrate all the different aspects of the way you approach life. So then there's, I came into Buddhism in 2001, and it was a fit for me. And I'm just, you know, it's like 19 years. It's been a fit for me. I found that. I also try to incorporate some neuroscience and some sociology and some psychology and some evolutionary biology. Because a lot of times people just choose, again, part of the Master of None is also being able to have all these different ways of looking at things and find a way to integrate them so that they work for you instead of saying I have to, some people will tell you can't believe this and this. I'm like, you're going to tell me I can't believe in multiple things, so
right.
it's really, that's kind of where that is all throughout. So, and I also use like a conversational tone, and then I switch to something more academic, and then, I reference.
You have a sociology background?
I do. Correct? Yeah, I'm a sociology professor of 18 years.
Yeah, you're no dummy. Look, it's handsome, smart.
Someone say I was a dummy to get like a sociology degree, right?
As the world ends, it's almost as though they were all meaningless.
Shut up, listen to the
if anything, it would be amazing if America could have more of an Eastern mentality. They would be not so stressed all the time. Where, what I've learned as in comedy is I've started to no longer give a shit about, and this goes back to what you're saying, as you get older, you get more comfortable. I've just started getting comfortable putting things out. I think I was raised in a home where it was very, everything I do is a reflection on the parents.
Yes.
Right. Which is fine. Right. And, my parents had real jobs in which, she worked for the school. So for me, goofing off at school is not good because she's a teacher.
Yeah.
There's all of that.
Rigid.
It was rigid, which is why I do with the jokes that I do. Now, at this point of the conversation, I would continue with the train of thought in which I started this initial conversation, but I lost it a little bit because not bright. What did I just say?
I didn't even know you're not bright.
I got to know. It's true. Why did I bring up the teacher thing? What were we saying before? Help me get back to it. Just before that, I brought up.
When I was talking about like the approaching with multiple perspectives. No.
Oh, different views. What was it? Oh, I lost it. The different views on.
Well, it'll come back. I love a conversation that goes away and comes back when it's time.
It'll have to. I brought up the parents because that I became comfortable in comedy to start saying things and putting things out. We got there. You got it.
Yeah. No, that's a really, really important point. I don't know how old you are. How old are you?
I'm 40.
Oh, man. Let me tell you, and I'm just going to speak from experience, right?
Please.
Of what the last 10 years has brought between 40 and 50 is... the book is a result of that. Is a result of coming to that full realization that I anything that I communicate is something I own and I feel completely accountable for.
To be independent.
Put it all out there. Because I had a reference a chapter because of its relevance, but. Or a segment, because I break the chapters up into segments because everybody likes bite-sized pieces of information, right?
I thought 13 chapters.
Yeah, 13 chapters, but there's probably 10 segments per chapter. So if you only want to do a segment, but there's one called Spiritual Agnostic and Enigma. Woo! Thesaurus ain't no dinosaur. But really it was, I call it like I came out about not being a monotheistic.
Oh, yeah.
Monotheistic. I don't believe in, a God or gods or heaven. I do believe in the power of which a belief system can help somebody and transform them. But also, if that's not the way that you operate, like to me, God is like a personal trainer, right? And I can go to the gym and work out alone.
Bro. Right. Yeah. Yeah. We were.
Bro, do you even lift, right?
Yeah, dear.
Bro, do you even pray?
Yeah. You ever see that? You ever see Jacob try to lift a cross? I mean, come on. Come on. And Moses keeps forgetting about leg day. That's the other thing.
I mean, do you know I'm not going to overuse the word risk, because I don't think it's a risk. Do you know that, like when you put something like that out, there's a possibility that there's going to be people who are doing that. But let me tell you that, well, if you intentionally close your ears to an idea, then that idea has some legs, doesn't it?
Oh, okay. To shut off the mind says there's something personal about it. You're not taking a moment to weigh it. So obviously, if you believe in God and someone says there's no God, you're going to have an interesting conversation.
Well, I'm just saying that to some degree, I think that somebody would revise their opinion of me based upon that, and they may be less willing to listen to anything I have to say because of that.
Understood.
However, I don't see that as a loss. I see that as a win, because what it does is it exposes the idea that many people have a belief system that maybe they're not completely they don't completely believe in. I talk about unshakable faith, right? But if you have unshakable faith, that should mean that you could listen to anybody with any perspective and be open to it, but you already have your faith, and that's fine. But when you go like this, I don't want to hear it. It's like, I don't want to see it. I don't want to hear it, because that's going to
Richard Pryor, Gene Wilder.
It's going to make you rethink things, and nobody wants to rethink what they thought they had, you know?
Yeah, I just told the story on my other podcast where I was talking about how they kicked me out of Catholic school in third grade.
Okay.
They brought me into the office, and it's all like smoke. It was back when like you could be a priest and smoke it, right?
Oh my God, that kind of. Oh, really?
Yeah, like that. Yeah. The nuns, like dark where the light would come through in the glass. I mean, it was like like an episode of The Sopranos when they go to the church. It was just too much. And he brought me into his office and he sat me down and he says, there's lots of religions out there, my man. Like have you considered other religions? And I was
in third grade.
Yeah, they could tell I was just like, this seems a little much. This seems a little much.
Yeah.
But, but that's fine. But, my it's so funny because I never talk about religion, but just from my point of view is I really could give a shit. And what I mean by that is, George Carlin has the bit where it's like, you're so lucky to be born into your thought system, right? See, like, for example, you chose your kind of following and what you've decided to believe in, versus where I grow up, everybody's told there's this and then that's it. So how lucky is it that, you have, it's like Italian pride, you can be happy, but you didn't do anything to earn it. So you shouldn't feel pride about it. Right. Sure. That's just, it's okay to enjoy the culture, but pride should be reserved for something that you've earned, I think is his thing. Right. But I had spaghetti last night, but whatever, we're all stereotypes. But for religion is that, if you were born a Sikh, I mean, what are the odds that you're going to be like, I'm going to change it? You're kind of born into it. And that's what you are. And Ricky Gervais had a thing, which he said on with Stephen Colbert, whatever show he is, the Late Show or the Night Show, whatever, is that if you destroyed all of the religious teaching, that the books, and burned all the books, that all the religious teachings would be gone, but all the science books would be back exactly how they are again. So, but I'm more of a faith person. I will admit when things get rough, I definitely close my eyes and pray. And what am I praying? It's a whole nother thing. But right. I do believe in something obviously greater than myself. But I don't believe, if I'm Jaying that D in the shower, I don't think Jesus should be watching me. What I mean?
Well, but here's the thing. You said faith. You said the word faith. And for me, like the way that I kind of have come to understand faith is you are basically thinking about everything that you've done, everything that you put forth, to that point. If you're sitting there and you've really done nothing to advance your position, if that's where you're trying to go.
Oh, well, in life in general too.
Yeah. So so faith is really having, believing in the everything that you've done and that what you're capable of doing, even at the lowest times, right? But it doesn't always, for some people it involves some divine intervention. And for me, it involves kind of recalibrating my thinking and putting forth bigger efforts.
Pulling faith out of religion, I think, right, can be a positive. Religion is mostly land grabs. They're basically real estate transactions. I think, well, you know what? I think I'll take Mesopotamia, or whatever. But obviously, I've found a lot of religious people to be garbage, but I found a lot of people who have faith to be generally positive people, and they seem to actually respect their teachings. But I have all sorts of shady friends who who still go to church on Sunday, but it's like, they're doing, well, I won't call anybody out, Rick.
Can't you not be multidimensional? I talk about multidimensionality.
I got to tell you, Akello, I am enjoying this conversation more than I could tell you, because this is stuff that, normally we talk about dick jokes and yucks, but I'm fascinated by you because you seem to approach life, even in your acting, you seem to bring that same sort of kind of calm and rounded sophistication with your you bring a certain high classness to my project.
Wow, serious? I've never heard that before, and I appreciate it.
Well, your personality comes through in your acting. I remember when you were Wall of Flesh, which is the only sponsor, because no one else will return an email in which I send them. If you watch it, you're smiling the whole time, and you have this infectious. I feel it kind of sounds like I'm coming on to you, but you have this infectious smile. So when you're on a film, you're like the guard. You're like, "Hey, you dumbass!" Like it was something. So if you watch it in your scene, your personality comes through in your acting. Also,
it was, it was fun. It's fun. I enjoyed it, and if I don't usually involve myself in something that's not enjoyable, unless it's like a medical procedure, right?
Right.
So wherever I'm at, and if I'm around other people who are enjoying it, and I definitely, love being around creative people. And to me, like, that's just, that runs deeper, like movie making, right? It runs deeper than just this, portraying this fictitious story. It runs deeper. It's like people exploring the dimensions of who they are and interacting with other people. And to me, it's just more than what meets the eye, and everything is more than what meets the eye. And it's not like I've always
Transformers.
What's that?
Transformers. Sorry.
Oh my God!
Speaking of 80s show, yeah. I am a Protestant. I don't know even what that means.
Influenced by popular culture. It is part of my makeup. Look, I talk about like what I wanted to be when I grew up. At one point in time, I wanted to make TV commercials. I watched Booze and Buddies. I loved what they did, and I also love memorizing commercials, the jingles and things. To me, the TV programs were okay, but the commercials, there were repetition, their shortness, their quickness, and I thought that was just the funnest thing ever.
So I've seen you in commercials. So
yes.
So you've manifested your own destiny, and now you're in the commercial. Now you've crossed the dimension. You've crossed the fourth dimension, the fourth wall, if you will, where you are now doing the thing that you want.
Yeah. I was on a bus. Look, I got to show you this. I was on a city bus.
yes.
And
that is so cool.
And because I thought it was surreal. It's a surreal thing, but what's interesting is, the other day, so then, I told you I went to Bevmo to get the stout to have my, drunken birthday.
Sure.
Like I've been doing since I was like 18, regardless of who's around.
That's what you do at your birthday.
What you do, you get drunk.
Celebration of life. I don't know why I'm not drinking during this conversation.
You get like shit-faced drunk. I mean, when you're my age, you just go to bed. You're sleepy, right? You're like, okay, I can't even follow this TV show. I wouldn't even tell you. And that's a whole nother conversation. I've been watching the show Dave. I
haven't seen it yet. It looks good though.
Laughing uproariously, like almost like I almost have to lay on the floor, and I catch my breath, right? But so I'm in the parking lot, waiting for my order to happen because you can't go inside the store because I like to browse around, and it's like I got to come up with something that said, this particular breakfast stout. And so this woman pulls up next to me, and then she's like looking at me, and her nonverbals were like, and maybe from think she knows me. Sometimes people be like, "Did you go to William J. High School?" I was like, "No," because I'm like, "No," but I had that face. So she rolls down the window, and I'm like, hey. And I was like, do I know you? She's like, were you in a commercial? I was like, was it the Psychic Source commercial? She's like, yes, I remember you. I was like, who remembers someone from like 3 seconds on screen in a commercial? Like, who remembers commercial people? I don't. Unless it's like Flo or someone that's been in my face a million times.
Yeah, that must have felt good, right?
Oh my God, it was like made my day. I was like, wow, someone remembered me. You know?
Now to them, you're the one now in their dimension. They're back to where they're seeing you in a commercial, and that's, we live in Los Angeles, so people that work in commercials. In fact, if you remember, the last time that you and I saw one another is we were in a waiting room for the same audition.
Yes, we were. and when I saw you, I was like, I am not going to waste my time. He's going to get the part over me. Really, I was like,
let's not say what it was due to regulations.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was.
Oh yeah.
But I tell you what, though, like, you know how you had to go into the room with like 5 other people?
Mm-hmm.
The guy that I was doing the scene with, you would think that he was auditioning for like the next Star Wars film. He was so committed to this character that it was so over the top unbelievable. And he's like a surfer dude and stuff. And I was just like, oh my God, like, oh.
It is.
I'm just up in there, just doing the lines.
Yeah, people have a different style. The audition process in general can be insane because you never really know what you're going into.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, I once had an audition at a guy's house, so I show up to the address. Right? It's just this guy's house, and there's a couple of other actors. We're all wandering around like, what the fuck is happening? Some woman answers the door, and I sit in the living room, and I said, where is he? He goes, he's in the shower. And I'm like, I'm looking at my watch. I'm like, we got an 11 o'clock. This guy's not ready for me. So I just said, I'm going to take a look around. I looked out the door. I said, what's out this back door? I walked out the back door. I walked around the front. I left. I got in my car, drove away. And then he started calling me.
Oh, man.
But I knew I knew one other actor that showed up, and we were like, what? And he left too. They all basically, everyone, because, and then he comes out like, it was like a weird porno. Like, the guy's in the shower. Like, if I knew some guy's house, and you don't know that. Now, I feel bad now I've had a bunch of auditions at people's houses over the years.
Yeah.
But mostly for the women. I feel right. Like if I'm feeling sketchy, I can't imagine what a female actor would be like.
Oh yeah, I would not feel comfortable going to a private home of someone that I didn't know, unless it was like an Airbnb. I've shot in Airbnbs, right? But not like someone's real house, and where like life is really going on and you're going to go in the garage. It could be really strange, and sometimes you don't know, and sometimes you have to just walk away.
Yeah, I walked away from that one. I don't care. And the other thing about getting older is I don't care about auditioning anymore in a good way. I mean, because if it was for a new NBC pilot, then okay, well, but if this is just some other jerk off like me making a movie, then it's all good. And I seem that peaks. I'll get a whole bunch in a row, and then I'll get nothing. Yeah, and then they seem to bunch, which is weird.
Sure, it's just there's no flow.
But being older now and with the comedy and putting things out, and I think even though I'm 40, there's still been, most comedians are saying all the things on stage when they're in their early 20s. So it's taken me till now. Also, another thing that's good at my age is that all of the people that were mean to me when I was a child are dying. They're all dropping off. Like all those old guys that were mean to you when you were a kid, you're like, you didn't make it.
Is that like the karma? That's the karmic reward, huh?
Well, I'm at an age now. Well, I'm also the youngest one in the family, just about. So, you believe much like, the Catholic school is. They want you to believe all this stuff, and you're like, And then you get a little older, and you look around, you're like, oh my God, these people. Like when I have a holiday dinner, excluding my immediate family, it's like, who are these people? They live in worlds in which I mean, they really have a kind of this self-importance, but they're all so poor.
Yeah.
They're all so unsuccessful, but they're all, but just being comfortable and saying things. I'm really at the age now where I'll just tell somebody to go fuck themselves. I don't care anymore, especially in business, because doing business in Los Angeles is, I mean, it is, this town is way too soft. I mean, I can't stand it. And doing any sort of business with somebody in the entertainment industry with their emotions, there's no crying in baseball, so it's very difficult to have a real sort of business transaction.
Yeah.
And actors, but so I can just tell people I'm over it all in a good way, which I think will only benefit me, because if I have a certain style, then I should just ride that style, right? So I shouldn't, if I can't even feel comfortable just saying it, and I think a benefit of these our little conversation and getting used to getting things out and talking it out and staying in practice. But at my age, it doesn't matter. I don't care anymore. Like my aunts and the uncles are like, it's like, you know what? Now that I'm old enough, like his sinus problems in the 80s during real estate wasn't sinus problems. You know what I mean? Like you're like, oh, he was a cokehead. Like you just start to, all of a sudden, all those things when you were a kid, you grow up and you're like, oh, Doug's an asshole. Oh, that's not me as a kid. Doug is just an asshole. There isn't.
Look, you have got to absolutely watch this show, Dave, in the most recent episode. You've got to watch that. It's like you probably just got to skip right to that.
I don't. It looks good, but it's something where professionally and even in business, I'm just like, especially in this town, I just say it. I run everything like I'm a New Yorker, because you ever see, like in New York, you ever just sort of like walk around and stroll? No, they'll trample you. There's a certain energy to New York that while doing business in LA, I find very difficult, because people will call you back and the ghosting, and that's fine. Whatever. But you know how many people I see posts on Facebook or social media and how poor they are. Yeah, none of them. They're not like, does anyone have a job available? Right. It's bitch, but it's never. It's never. Hey, I'm looking for some cash. Blah blah blah. It's always, negative.
Well, that's one reason that I like. It was maybe 2 years ago. I deleted my Facebook and Twitter. I just could not. I couldn't take the toxicity anymore.
Yeah, I was just having this conversation that I wanted to delete my Facebook. I helped my father with some groups, and I've had it because people do reach out to me for gigs, right?
Yes.
People so that's the thing.
True.
I don't like it, and I don't even want it. So I might delete it, create like like another little admin one, and then just add, my top 10 people.
That's what you do.
And then because I'm maxed out on friends, but they're not real friends. It's just a decade of comedian friends. Yeah. And I don't know.
Look, Brian, this is what you can do. You can create the fan page, right? And just move the people over that you want, and then you delete the personal page. And you can still operate the fan page on its own. And then then all that's gone. All that junk is gone.
I think it is time. Yeah. And I posted, and the people in comedy is so weird, but I talked about this with my other buddy I got a thing that says you should join, due to your experiences, you should join the Gay Pagan Society. And I'm not gay, I'm not a pagan, right? I post a picture of it. And the 10 people commented, and every single one was a gay friend. And that not like people that were straight don't even want to even post it. That can't you even just laugh at that? There's like a pagan circle where there are 3 naked men. That's funny to me.
Yeah, it is funny.
But people can't even just like it. They won't even comment on it because people are so afraid to offend. But how is that offensive? That's pretty funny. I mean, if it was like the gay truckers who like to go fishing in Idaho, like such a group that's so small that that's interesting. But
Brian, whatever you put out there in this public forum is up for commentary. It's up for reaction. You cannot put something up there that attacking it, but you got to chuckle at that, you know, like it's like the first time I saw HBO's Real Sex. I was like, wow, there are worlds that exist out here that I was never taught about in my Catholic rigid upbringing. Like, right. I didn't know this existed. Not that I want to do it, but I find it interesting and entertaining, right?
Well, and that's also the small town mentality. You know, people. It
is.
You know, I mean, I have those friends. How are we doing time? Yeah. I have those friends that are, that live a block from the high school. You know?
Oh, yeah.
You know, and it's like they don't.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, of course, you know, you have to have a gay male orgy in Hollywood in order to get in. We've all done it, people. But that's what Hollywood is.
But I have to tell you one thing. I know that we're getting close to ending, and I have to tell you this because it just happened. You know how you put yourself out there in these different ways, and you know, 99% of it doesn't come back. Because when something does come back to you, you're like, wait, really? So you think it's a sign, right? So I got to the next round of casting for The Circle. And you probably don't know what that is.
I don't, I'm sorry.
But let me give it to you in a nutshell. It's like a reality show, but it's like, think of The Real World, right? Remember The Real World?
Yeah.
So think of The Real World, but all these people have their own apartments and they never get to see one another, and they can only interact through this 8-person social media network that's been created. And people on the show can actually project another persona, other people's pictures and things like that. And then you kind of chat and over time, you know, you get to know the other people. And then every episode, the people that you have to vote for who your favorites are. And then that list comes out, and the top 2 of the list get to decide together through chat who gets kicked off the show. I think you win like $250,000 or something.
Hell yeah. Oh, well, listen, if you need any votes, you know, however it works, let me know. I'll vote for you if that's like a thing that you can.
Only the people in that circle can vote. They're completely sequestered from like outside world. Completely
sequestered. You sound like my mob lawyer, who's not a mob lawyer. He's a regular lawyer. He's just Italian with see-through socks. Don't talk about that, Akello. Well, Akello Stone, thank you for being here. Would you hold up?
Thank you for letting me use the word sequester.
I'm going to have to Google it. Would you hold up another copy of your?
I will.
Of your book. Let's give yourself all your social media shout outs, which you should.
Yes, this is Seeking Selfdom in the Age of Selfies. This is my proof copy. It's available at Amazon.com. You can actually find all the links to that and the ebook and a playlist that accompanies this book at AkelloStone.com. Go there, right on the homepage, have all the links, all the information, and all the media below, which will include this interview and all the, you know, thousands of the 10 fans, the 3 people that are going to watch it. And I love that because I'll watch it.
Well,
I'll cut from it. It'll be part of my reel.
No, yeah. Go right ahead. Akello, thank you very much, man. You're the man. 100%. Check him out.